What's going on, folks? It's Sam here from D-Life HD, and I have a special guest on here today with me.
Hi.
That was the voice of a female, and that female is my wife. Welcome on to the video.
Thank you.
Now you're like, why the heck did he ask her to be on here today? Great question. Well, besides the fact that I like including her on projects, she is a huge Pokemon fan. And if you saw it from the title, yep, today we're going to be giving our first impressions of Pokémon Legends Arceus.
Switch it up. Switch it up. I was a worker, had to upgrade to a boss. Switch it up. Used to live in the hood, but had to upgrade to a loft. Switch it up.
Now, she's been a longtime fan of the series, so I wanted to get her opinion on how this new game stacks up compared to those games she spent her childhood playing. Now, first question that we always ask on the first impressions is sort of a litmus test for whether this game is good or not. Have you been thinking about it all the time when you're not playing it?
Yes. All day, every day so far.
So have you wanted to spend all of your time playing it?
I have. I've spent about 8.5 hours playing it so far.
Whoa! That's a lot of time. Although, it's scary. I know the Pokemon people, there's probably people who have already beaten it and caught all the Pokemon like less than 24 hours later. Let's try not to think about that, okay?
Okay.
Alright. Well, we've been pretty busy the past few days, but it's true she has spent pretty much all of her time that she can putting it into the game. So, are you enjoying it so far, you'd say?
I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I really like the more open world atmosphere. I like how it is not super linear, as in, it doesn't really tell you exactly where you need to be going. It kind of lets you figure things out on your own, and I definitely appreciate that. It gives me a lot more incentive to, I guess, go outside of what I'm supposed to be doing.
How would you say this compares to your experience with Sword and Shield?
I would say that they took a lot of concepts that they tried out in Sword and Shield, such as seeing Pokemon in the wild, and they really developed it a lot further, and I'd say they were very successful with that.
Now, I know it's kind of early to ask this, but do you think overall you're going to be able to spend more time playing this game than you did Sword and Shield?
Probably. I mean, I did put 200 hours in Sword, so that's a pretty high bar. But I can probably spend at least that much time in this game, too.
Would you say... I know it's been a while since you obviously started Sword, but would you say that the opening dozen hours or so were stronger in this game or stronger in that game?
Stronger in this game. The first several hours in Sword were pretty classic as far as how Pokemon games generally go. Like, you get your starter, you go to the first few towns, you battle the first couple gyms, and that doesn't generally change from game to game, even though the region and the Pokemon that you see are going to be different. This game has definitely broken the mold of what I've come to expect from a Pokemon game, and I like that a lot. It is just very interesting to see what they're doing with the series.
So you mentioned the classic games, and that brings up kind of a good point here is obviously we recently had Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which I'd say took an even more classic approach than Sword and Shield did, obviously, since they were the remakes, and they didn't really add in any content or anything. So I know you're a big fan of the classic formula, but does it feel kind of strange coming off of that very classic remake art style and all, and gameplay going into this game?
It's vastly different, and it's exciting to see how different it is and how beautiful everything looks, but it's also a little bit difficult to get used to how many different controls there are and how you need to be aware of so many things around you in this environment.
Would you say that you spent time as a kid with the Pokemon games imagining what they would be like in the future?
Yes.
And how closely would you say that this game is to your vision of Pokemon in the future?
I think this game is far more than what I could have imagined as a child. I think Sword and Shield really accomplished everything that I could have dreamed of when I was a kid. Like when I was playing, my first games were Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Game Boy Advance. And I always imagined, being able to access my Pokemon boxes from wherever I wanted, or being able to see Pokemon in the wild. And getting that in Sword and Shield was really, really cool. And now that they've done that already, and they're taking a lot of those concepts even further and making it even more new and interesting. So I don't really know what to expect from it anymore, but I like where it's going.
So would you rather this style stay kind of a spin-off, or would you rather see this replace the gameplay of the previous game?
I think I'd like to see it replace it. I do like the classic formula of the random encounters versus seeing what you're going into. I like how Sword and Shield had a good mix of that. I liked the turn-based system, and a lot of that is just because that's what I'm used to and that's what I've been playing my whole life. But I think that they have so many games in that format that they need to change it up.
Sure. Well, we've kind of compared it to the previous games a little bit, but just standing on its own merits, let's go through a couple of the different parts of the game and let's just talk about how you like them. How do you like the music in the game?
The music is very pretty. I've enjoyed it quite a lot. I think it could definitely have longer loops. Some of it can be very repetitive, especially in the town. But it's, for the most part, very peaceful music. And a lot of it, especially in like the outer world, like in the wild, it reminds me of Breath of the Wild, just like with that little bit of piano.
I think that's probably not the only comparison to Breath of the Wild people are making.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that the overall scope of the game is similar to what Breath of the Wild did for Zelda?
It's hard to tell just because I can't see the full map just yet, but I do anticipate it being pretty large.
So what do you think of the graphics so far, and if also just the art style outside of the graphics?
The art style and the graphics both, I think, are excellent for the series. I mean, comparing them to previous games, they are obviously a lot better than what Pokemon has ever done before. I think comparing this game to other modern releases, the graphics are not quite as good, but that is easily overlookable to me, at least, by just how enjoyable the game is.
Yeah, I can definitely say that despite my reservations about the graphics, the art style is so much more palatable than Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, at least in my opinion. It's a little easier to take seriously, and even though the graphics leave some area for improvement, I'm glad that they prioritize a shake-up in the gameplay over fancy graphics, and hopefully next time they can try to, make things look a little bit better, but I'm definitely thinking gameplay is the right area to start with.
My only issue with the art style, and this is a little bit nitpicky, but as the character's movements, especially the character that you're playing as, whenever they are running, the movements tend to look a little bit chunky and unnatural, so that was a little bit jarring at first.
I don't really know why that's the case. It's kind of strange, but were the animations at all weird in Pokemon Sword and Shield's wild area?
No, those seemed pretty natural to me.
Weird. Well, any other small nitpicks with the game that you would like to see fixed in either a patch or a sequel?
Yes, I do love that they have finally made a proper map. that's very detailed, and you can mark it however you want. But I would love to see a mini map on screen, because I do find myself pausing what I'm doing just to check the map very frequently and try to figure out where I am. With all of the environments being very natural and there's not really any man-made structures besides the one town that you are in, it's very easy to get lost. So I need to try to figure out where I am pretty often, and it can be kind of annoying to have to pause what I'm doing so frequently. So it would be very nice to have a mini map on screen.
Yeah, that seems like kind of a glaring omission. Hopefully that'll be patched in or at least fixed in some way. Well, we've talked about pretty much everything at this point that I can think of. My one question is, obviously there were some big cuts to Sword and Shield with which Pokemon were going to be in the game. Are you satisfied with the lineup of Pokemon in this game so far?
I'm satisfied with what I've seen so far, yes. I think that they have added quite a large variety of Pokemon so far, considering I've only really seen the first area. And in a lot of games, that first area that you get to explore and catch Pokemon in only has maybe 2 or 3 different ones that you can catch, and I've been able to catch much more than that. So I've enjoyed that. I'm not sure if it includes the full Pokédex. I would assume it does not, because Sword and Shield didn't. But I am interested to see.
Well, would you recommend this game for Pokemon fans?
I would, absolutely.
Would you recommend this game for people who haven't been able to get into the series before?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's different enough to entice new players, but I also think that there is enough familiarity to keep the old fans interested as well.
Cool. You think I would like it?
I think so.
Well, considering my history with the series and my hatred for the Pokemon games in general, I'd say that's pretty much a glowing recommendation if I ever heard one. Well, thank you very much for doing this special episode with me on Pokémon Legends Arceus. But guys, I want to know what you think. Leave us a comment below and let us know if you're playing the game or if you're interested in picking it up and what your thoughts are on it so far. And of course, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow our Twitter account for gameplay on the latest releases. Until next time, I've been Sam, and this has been the D-Life HD YouTube channel, believe it or not. Make sure to always stay one up, and we'll see you later. Peace out.